Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Rebuild the West here on Crown and Country Radio. First of all, as usual, I want to thank you for your kind support. You know, as independent creators, we do need your support, especially considering what's going on with big tech and mainstream media. Here on Crown and Country Radio, you can find many interesting programs and very good music. Here in this show, as you know, we try to have our neutral but smart take on current events, always with wit and humor as well. So if you like what we do here, please remember to like the video, share the video, and of course to subscribe to these podcasts and visit crownandcountryradio.com. Today, I have a very, very special guest for you. The founder of the British Monarchist Society, and happens also to be the CEO and the director of this radio where we are. So technically, I have my boss on today, guys. So don't give me like too much on a hard time, please, guys, with your comments. You know, be understanding. And Thomas is with us. Hey, Thomas.
Hello, Joseph, and thank you very much. Right now, I'm just a guest on your fantastic show, nothing more.
Well, thank you, Thomas, again for this great opportunity. We have really it's been an interesting ride because this 2020 is not giving up. And
No. One thing after another. Can we just Alt-Control-Delete 2020, or maybe try to unplug the year and plug it back in?
Exactly. Yeah, I wish we can do that. But you know, again, also Rebuild the West. Here we are looking at the very roots, the pillars, the foundation of our culture, which is under attack. Again,
Yeah.
it's either because of these nihilistic postmodernism, is because these not human globalism, that we're really trying to come together in detecting what brings us together, what are the values that have created progress and advancement in our society. And we always like to cross the pond between the UK and the United States, of course.
Yeah.
And who better than you to point out an issue that, of course, guess what? The mainstream media are not touching at all, because social causes are good when they're trending. When they're not trending, they're not cool anymore. But
Yes.
we still care.
It's
And
about the numbers.
Yeah, kudos to you for actually bringing the attention to this very important topic. So I will let you stress out what is this important issue that we are facing, and an interesting conversation in the British monarchy. Tom, please.
Yeah, well, Joseph, first and foremost, thank you very much. And the premise of your show, Rebuild the West, is so important. But what happens when we see the West is being deconstructed? We're moving away from democracy. We're moving away from the voice of the electorate. That is a very damning perspective of what's coming in the future.
Absolutely.
And considering the way 2020 is going, when you think things can't get any worse, Barbados has decided that without a referendum or calculation of the will of the people, that the government is going to change the constitution. Actually, it's not going to change. It's going to rubbish their constitution, put it in the bin, start again. Well, how does that actually affect the Western world and democracy? Well, right now, I've always said freedom wears a crown, and case in point with Barbados, they had their freedom, their independence from the United Kingdom back in the mid-1960s, 1966, if I'm not mistaken. However, with that independence came a new constitution. They did not go the route of a republic. They went and became a monarchy. They elected to keep the Queen as head of state. So therefore, the Crown of Barbados is very much its own. It's not tied to the United Kingdom. The country has its own constitution. It has a Governor General, someone who is actually approved by the Queen to carry out her stately duties in that nation because, of course, she doesn't live there. But what unites Barbados to the rest of Her Majesty's realms, 16 in total, is that they share a head of state in the Queen. They don't share anything else, and its crown is separate from that of the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, even that of Antigua and Barbuda.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much its own. But the problem is, the Prime Minister went ahead and announced in the throne speech, what was it, just a fortnight ago now, that there will be no referendum. The people will not be asked. The government will pretty much railroad anything to obtain Republican status by quitting the crown and quitting the Queen by November 2021. That is not democratic at all. That is not what Western society is about. And we need to look, case in point, at what I wrote in an open letter to the people of Barbados.
Yeah.
And I was the first one in the world to actually say, Barbados, please wake up. Don't quit the Queen. You are going to allow your government to steamroll any vote that you would have, any tie that you have to freedom as you know it, because the Prime Minister has said, well, it's time that we had a head of state that is from Barbados. And I sit there and I say, but your constitution makes the Queen a citizen of Barbados. She is the Queen. She is the crown. She is of the people. But then they say, well, we don't think that's right because of the Governor General. Well, the Governor General is also from Barbados. She's been appointed. So
Mm-hmm.
the hierarchy that is keeping the people a collective is, in fact, a grouping of people from Barbados. And though the Queen might not live in Barbados, that constitution and that crown states that she is of Barbados. So you have an overzealous politician that is seeking ultimate power for themselves and their party. Clearly, the people do not matter. The electorate is ignored. Right now, 64% of the people polled do not want to quit the Queen. They like having their own identity as a monarchy. And
Absolutely, yeah. I think that because again, in an era where everybody claims that we should fact check everything, then again, it's curious. I would say that when those numbers and statistics and facts don't fit a specific narrative or interest,
yes,
all of a sudden the fact checking becomes opinable, right?
yes,
So that
yes,
this is what I wanted to show. If we are talking about democracy and we are talking about the will of the people, where the number is clear: 64% of
yes.
the population wishes to retain the monarchy.
Right. Well, the Prime Minister does not want to accept the fact that the people want to retain being subjects of the Barbadian crown.
Hmm.
And this is something because when we look at her reasoning for it, she says that she was voted, her and her party were voted to be where they are and push a republic because it was in their manifesto. And it was something like almost 10 pages in. Most people had no idea it was there because, let's be honest, the electorate goes on what they hear and they read headlines. They're not going to read a dossier and a manifesto.
Yeah,
They're going to listen to promises. Well, we all know that overzealous politicians will promise the moon and won't deliver a star as
yeah,
long as they have the power.
yeah.
And the way to control Barbados in the ultimate power grab is removing the key factor, which is the crown and the Queen, who is the uniting glue of all of the factions of the government of Barbados. If you can remove her and take out a neutral party at the top and put someone who is politically charged with simple motives for their party, that's
Mhm.
it. You've lost that special magic of what keeps your country what it is.
Absolutely, yeah. This is really concerning because, um, again, if I'm just to clear the table. On one hand, I am highly critical of the current version of the United Nations. On the other
Yes,
hand, my attention and sympathy for problematics around the world is very high. So unfortunately, though, what happens is that, and that's why I really appreciated the tone, the heartwarming tone of your letter, which was directed to the people, because
Yes.
unfortunately, we do have organizations, we do have instances that are funded with billions of dollars every year, and the actual point is that when you need action, you have to bypass those very organizations that are funded, and in their statute they have the mission to
Yes.
exactly address these problems. And
Well, Joseph,
yeah.
it's 100% right what you're saying. But when you look at who's funding these people, let's
Mhm.
look at the political scientists that went ahead and said, well, Barbados should have become a republic before. They had the ability to do so. I
Mhm.
don't want to reach politicians. My letter is not for politicians. The
Yes.
people of Barbados belong to a wider family than just what's on that island. They
Hmm.
belong to the Commonwealth. They're a Commonwealth realm, but they belong to a select club of only 16 countries, of
Yeah.
which the Queen is the head of state. And when
Yeah.
this political scientist says, well, there's no other way for a politician to actually grab power than doing what they're doing, that's a red flag. Why are we allowing this? And
Yeah.
this is what tyranny is. This is why the crown exists, is to stop this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But when we watch what's happening, case in point with Barbados, that political scientist wrote into Barbados Today, and Barbados Today actually carried my plea to the
Hmm.
people of
Yeah.
Barbados. And I used his own words against him to support what I was saying. Why freedom wears a crown, why it would be horrible for the people of Barbados, not the politicians, but the people, to have their crown taken away. And we look at the civic duty and responsibility that a government has to its people, which is to ensure fair elections and give a referendum. You cannot change the constitutional structure of a nation in which people live without their consent. This is a huge issue. Why is the world not standing up and saying, wait a minute, the people have to decide? When we look in 1975, case in point, when Papua New Guinea went
Yeah.
ahead and declared their independence from Australia, they voted to keep the Queen and make her Queen of Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
So monarchies are on the rise, and there's a reason for that.
Hmm.
So we have to look at this and say, what is the purpose? What is the reason? And why is the West not up in arms that politicians are steamrolling the will of the people?
Yeah. Yeah, again, I agree 100%, Thomas, because again, the what happens in on a broader scale with a debate is, if you have concerns on the global chessboard, right? Then you can only do that through the channels that they tell you to use, right? So
Yes,
if it's either this way or out of the window. So, and this is what I think needs to change, because the conversation that you brought up is a healthy conversation that we need to have in terms of what is the a form of government that can let the people express their will, and we have to be open about it because what is important is the result. We can
yes,
achieve that result, which is representation and ultimately the will of the people and the majority, which again, the rule of the majority and the peaceful transfer of power that, again, in the tradition of the European countries, then America has developed for the first time in human history, where there is a willful, peaceful transfer of power after a democratic election, is really the standard. That
yes,
said, how we achieve those goals is a conversation that we need to have in a new century, where, as you were saying, democracies, which are great, are the best form of government that we have found so far. But we see
yes,
the problem that when you have a system that is fragile, a system that is very delicate, that needs checks and balances. When you have now corporations, and unfortunately most of these corporations are American, that they have more power than states with elected officials,
Yes.
and
Yes.
they can sway elections, they can influence people. Even their GDP is as big as smaller countries.
Yes, but they're
Then
getting an election. This country isn't. And this is a
exactly.
problem. And Joseph, when I reach out, I wrote to Philip Grenville II. He is the leader of the third largest party in Barbados, because he's starting to actually be very vocal, one of very few that says, no, we can't allow this to happen. So I wrote to him and I said, look, if you're getting an opposition, you're getting a movement together to keep the crown, if I can help, I will. And he sent back a really lovely reply to me, but he does have a great concern along with the people. And what's happening in Barbados is not going to help the people, it's going to help the politician.
Mhm.
This is what I'm saying. And this is why, see, I care about the people. It's not about keeping the monarchy in place, because I do actually believe in the right to self-determination. However, I believe, and so does the majority of the people of Barbados, that the crown serves them better than a republican style of government.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, this is where I get very critical of Buckingham Palace.
Mm.
This is where I get angry with the Queen's advisors and say, wait a minute, the crown is supposed to be there as a safeguard against such things as this.
Yeah.
Why are
Mm.
you not doing something to
Yeah.
further educate as to why constitutional monarchy is the best form of government? And most people have the misconception that constitutional monarchy is not a democracy. It
Mhm.
is. It's
Yeah.
very democratic.
It's
There are
true.
elections.
You are making a very good point, and again, of course, like if we want to go into the fields of political science and political history, of course there are many layers to a conversation, but it is the role of a leader also to communicate in an effective and fair way, the most sensitive topics. And here the really this is self-harm that Buckingham Palace is doing to its own advantage, because again,
Yes.
how we reach those checks and balances, how do we have these counterweights that can make sure that the will of the people is preserved. And again,
Right.
we were having this conversation in the green room. We get it that when it comes to monarchs and kings and queens, there is the own British literature that makes this story very graphic sometimes and extremely dramatic. And but the fact that we had something in the past and we are centuries after, and we are a different race with a different
Yes.
with different tools, it doesn't mean I actually would say it's maybe the time now to have a conversation where we discuss, wait a minute, if we have a monarch who can actually be one of those counterpower, one of those counterweight that make sure to preserve the own existence of these institutions that they embody, and with the people work
Hmm.
to preserve the system that basically keeps them in power and keeps the people
Yes.
in power. I think
Agreed.
it's very important to have that conversation. And again, I don't have
Yes.
necessarily an opinion on this, because my opinion as a classic liberal, not the current version of liberal, and standing more on progressive issues, being quite conservative when it comes to other. I'm this,
Yes.
dying species of independent in America, which we used to be a thing, but we are not a thing anymore. That I wanna be part of the conversation. I wanna figure out myself. I wanna make up my mind about
Hmm.
what might be a better context, and that's
Yes.
ultimately what the people of Barbados are entitled to. They have
Right.
the
Well,
right.
News World, and they do. And News World Today, or News Today World, excuse me,
Mhm.
picked up on this, and they reached
Yeah.
out and said, Thomas, what is it that you can say against that political scientist to
Mhm.
defend? And
Yeah.
I did that. But I'm not going to press the case for constitutional monarchy on this show because it is completely well defined and supported why it is the better choice.
Yeah.
But the people must be heard in the Western world. They
Yeah.
must be given their God-given right to determine where they want to go. And if 64% is saying in a recent poll that they want to retain the Queen and have
Yeah.
a Barbadian crown, well, damn
Mhm.
it, they should have it. No
Yeah.
politician has the right to take that away without consent of the people. That's where they're
Absolutely.
wrong. And this is what politicians do.
Yes, absolutely. And I couldn't think of a better way to, with your passionate statement, to end this segment. And Thomas, really, thank you very much for bringing attention to this very important topic that, again, is absolutely within the scope of this show that we are trying to do. And as you
Yes.
can see, dear listeners and followers, it is possible to have an intelligent, constructive conversation with quiet tones and really having the ideas challenging
Yes.
themselves and not people attacking each other. And I'm
Right.
going to leave it there. Not going
Oh,
to mention
yes.
what I saw last week on
We're
the
proof of that.
presidential
We
debate.
stand on different sides of the divide, but we respect each other and we identify that, well, you know what? You have a point. And
Yeah,
this is what actually makes the team so great, especially on Crown and Country Radio, because we're so diversified, but we
yeah,
can see where each other are coming from and respect that platform.
mhm.
That's what
Absolutely.
unity is about.
That is what unity is about.
Yeah.
So, Thomas, thank you again very much. And of course, guys, we hope that you enjoyed the show. Again, connect to Crown and Country Radio.com and like and share the video, subscribe to the podcast. And thanks again, Thomas. It was great to
Thank
have
you
you on the
very
show.
much for having me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.